Burkina Faso. It sounds like a place where good things happen, doesn't it? The name itself means land of honest people or land of the incorruptible. It's a beautiful name for a beautiful country right in the heart of West Africa. Picture this: vast plains stretching out as far as the eye can see. Sometimes they're a lush green, especially after the rains. Other times, they're a golden brown, shimmering under the African sun. This land is an important part of the Sahel region, a belt that runs across Africa just south of the Sahara Desert. It's a place where life has always been a bit of a challenge but also full of spirit. The landscape of Burkina Faso is incredibly diverse, more than you might think. You've got the striking Sindhu peaks, these amazing rock formations that look like ancient sculptures carved by nature itself. Then there are the cascading waterfalls at Karfigala, a real oasis where water tumbles down rocks, creating a cool, misty spray. It's a popular spot for families to escape the heat, a little slice of paradise. The land also holds precious resources like gold, which has been mined here for centuries. This connection to the earth is deep, shaping the lives and cultures of everyone who calls this place home. It's a land that provides but also demands respect. The rivers like the Muhun, Nakambe, and Nazinon are the lifeblood of the nation. They snake their way through the country, providing water for farming, for drinking, and for life itself. Along their banks, communities have thrived for generations. These rivers are not just geographical features, they are woven into the stories, songs, and daily rhythms of the Burkinabe people. The climate here is tropical, with a distinct rainy season and a dry season. The people have learned to live in harmony with these patterns, their agricultural cycles and festivals often timed perfectly with the changing weather. This rhythm of nature is fundamental. Why is this land so important? Well, for the people of Burkina Faso, it's everything. It's their heritage, their source of livelihood, and the very foundation of their identity. It's where their ancestors are buried, where their children play, and where their future is being built day by day. The soil, though sometimes challenging to farm, yields millet, sorghum, cotton, and peanuts, staples that feed families and fuel the economy. The connection is profound. It's a spiritual bond that ties the people to the place they call home, a home they've defended and cherished through thick and thin, always with that proud, honest spirit. Long, long ago, even before it was called Burkina Faso, this land was alive with people. We're talking thousands of years back. Archaeologists have found ancient tools and rock paintings, whispers from the past telling us about the very first communities. These early inhabitants were hunter-gatherers, moving with the seasons, following the animals, and learning the secrets of the land. They knew which plants were good to eat, which ones could heal, and where to find water even in the driest times. They were the original pioneers, adapting and surviving in this sometimes harsh, sometimes bountiful environment, laying the groundwork for all who came after. Over time, these small groups began to settle. They learned to farm the land, growing crops like millet and sorghum. This was a big change. It meant they could stay in one place, build more permanent homes, and form larger communities. Imagine little villages popping up, people working together, sharing their knowledge and their harvests. They started to develop unique skills like pottery and ironworking. These skills were not just practical, they were also art forms, ways of expressing their creativity and their connection to the world around them. These early societies were building the foundations of a rich cultural tapestry. Many different groups of people migrated and settled in this region over the centuries. Each group brought its own language, its own customs, and its own traditions. Think of it like a big potluck where everyone brings a different dish and together it creates an amazing feast. There were the Bobo, the Lobi, the Gurunsi, the Sinufo, and many others. They didn't always live in complete isolation. They traded with each other, they sometimes fought, but they also intermarried and learned from one another. This mixing and mingling of cultures is what made the area so vibrant and diverse, a real crossroads of West African civilizations. These early communities were incredibly resourceful. They developed sophisticated social structures and systems of governance, often led by village elders or chiefs who were respected for their wisdom and experience. They understood the importance of cooperation for survival and prosperity. They built strong societies based on kinship, shared values, and a deep respect for nature and the spiritual world. These weren't just random collections of people, they were organized, resilient communities, leaving an enduring legacy that can still be felt today in the customs and traditions of Burkina Faso. Their strength was in their togetherness and their ability to adapt. Now let's talk about one of the most famous stories from this land, the legend of Princess Yanenga. This isn't just any old fairy tale, it's a foundational story for the Mossi people, who are the largest ethnic group in Burkina Faso today. Yanenga was a warrior princess, daughter of a powerful king in what is now northern Ghana, way back in the 12th century. She was skilled with a spear and a bow, and she rode horses better than many of the king's own soldiers. Her father valued her so much as a fighter that he didn't want her to marry. But Yanenga yearned for a different life, a life beyond the battlefield. So one day, legend says, Yanenga's horse got spooked during a ceremony, or perhaps she cleverly guided it, and it bolted, carrying her far away from her father's kingdom. She rode for days, deep into unfamiliar territory. Exhausted, she eventually met a solitary elephant hunter named Rial. He was from a different people, the Bisa. Despite their different backgrounds, they fell in love. It's a classic story, really. Brave princess meets rugged hunter and sparks fly. Their union was more than just a romance. It symbolized the coming together of different peoples and skills. Princess Yanenga and Riale had a son, and they named him Ouagadougou, which means stallion or male horse, in honor of the horse that brought Yanenga to her destiny. Ouagadougou grew up to be a great leader himself. He is considered the founder of the Mossi people and the Mossi Kingdoms. He combined his mother's royal heritage and warrior spirit with his father's knowledge of the land and hunting skills. This blend created a powerful new force in the region, leading to the establishment of influential states that would shape the history of the area for centuries to come. The Mossi kingdoms like Tenkodogo, Ouagadougou, and Yatenga became strong and well-organized. They had a clear social structure with a powerful king, the Mogo Naba, at the top in Ouagadougou. These kingdoms were known for their cavalry. Those horse-riding skills passed down from Yanenga were put to good use. They managed to resist invasions from larger empires for a long time, maintaining their independence and their unique culture. The story of Yanenga is still told today, a powerful symbol of courage, independence, and the mixed origins that form the bedrock of Mossi identity and, by extension, Burkinabe pride. Burkina Faso is truly a land of many faces, a vibrant mosaic of different ethnic groups. We've talked about the Mossi, who are the largest group, but there are over 60 distinct ethnic groups coexisting within its borders. Imagine the richness. You have the Fulani, known for their pastoral traditions and intricate jewelry. There are the N'Gourma, the Bobo with their famous masks, the Lobi with their unique fortified family compounds, the Senufo, the Gurunsi, the Bisa, and the Samo, each contributing their own unique thread to the national fabric. Each group has its own language, its own style of music, dance, and art. Despite this incredible diversity, there's a strong sense of national unity and pride among Burkinabe people. They see themselves as Burkinabe first. This isn't to say there are never any tensions, that's human nature, isn't it? But largely these different groups have lived side by side for centuries, trading, intermarrying, and sharing cultural practices. Festivals are a fantastic example of this. You might see different groups coming together, sharing their traditional dances and music, celebrating harvests, or marking important life events. It's a beautiful display of unity and diversity, a real testament to their shared humanity. Culture is lived and breathed every day in Burkina Faso. It's in the way people greet each other with warmth and respect, often taking time for lengthy pleasantries. It's in the intricate patterns woven into their fabrics, like the famous Faso d'Anfani, the national cloth, which itself is a symbol of cultural pride and economic self-reliance. It's in the storytelling traditions where elders pass down history, wisdom, and moral lessons to the younger generations. Music is everywhere, from the hypnotic rhythms of the djembe drum to the strings of the kora, creating a soundtrack to daily life that is both ancient and contemporary. This shared life meant people worked together in many ways. In villages, it was common for communities to help each other with farming, building houses, or preparing for celebrations. This spirit of collective effort, known as lagem kum and more, which means unite to work, is deeply ingrained. It's about solidarity and mutual support. This cooperative spirit wasn't just about survival, it was about building a stronger community, fostering a sense of belonging and shared identity. It shows a profound understanding that together, they are much stronger than they could ever be apart, a lesson many places could learn from. Towards the end of the 19th century, a new kind of wind started blowing across Africa, bringing with it people from far-off lands in Europe. This was the period of colonialism, And Burkina Faso, then known by various names according to its kingdoms, was not immune. French explorers and military expeditions began to arrive, driven by ambitions of empire, resources, and what they called a so-called civilizing mission. It was honestly a confusing and often frightening time for the local populations who had governed themselves for centuries. Suddenly, these outsiders were drawing lines on maps and claiming ownership of lands that simply weren't theirs. The French military encountered strong resistance from many of the local kingdoms and communities. The Mossi Kingdoms, with their long history of independence and proud warrior traditions, fought fiercely to defend their territories and their way of life. Leaders like Mogo Nabawobgo of Ouagadougou stood up to the French, but the technological advantage of the colonial powers, particularly in weaponry, was immense. Despite courageous battles and strategic alliances by the early 20th century, the area that is now Burkina Faso was gradually brought under French colonial rule and named Upper Volta, part of the larger French West Africa. Life changed drastically under colonial administration. The French imposed new systems of governance, taxation, and justice, often disregarding existing traditional structures. Local chiefs were sometimes co-opted or replaced if they didn't comply. The economy was reorganized to serve French interests, with an emphasis on producing cash crops like cotton for export. Perhaps most disruptive was the forced labor system, where Burkinabe men were compelled to work on colonial projects like building roads and railways, often under harsh conditions and far from their homes and families. This caused immense hardship and resentment, disrupting social fabrics and agricultural cycles. However, the spirit of the people was not easily broken. Even under the weight of colonial rule, resistance continued in various forms. Sometimes it was open revolt, quickly and brutally suppressed. More often it was subtle, everyday acts of defiance, preserving local languages and customs in secret, telling stories that kept the flame of independence alive, or finding ways to work the system to their minimal disadvantage. People held on to their cultural identity, their beliefs, and their dignity. The colonial period was a dark chapter, but it also sowed the seeds of a desire for self-determination and freedom that would eventually blossom. Even as the French tried to impose their language, their education system, and their way of life, the traditional cultures of Burkina Faso proved remarkably resilient. Think of it like a strong tree with deep roots. Even if the branches are pruned or bent by a storm, the tree itself survives and finds new ways to grow. In villages, far from the main colonial administrative centers, daily life often continued much as it had for generations. Elders still held positions of respect, traditional ceremonies were still performed, and local languages remained the primary means of communication for most people. One of the most important ways tradition survived was through oral storytelling, music, and dance. These weren't just entertainment, they were living archives of history, values, and beliefs. Griots, the traditional storytellers and musicians, played a crucial role. They were the keepers of memory, passing down epic tales of heroes like Princess Yanenga, recounting genealogies and offering wisdom through proverbs and songs. Through their art, they kept the cultural flame burning brightly, ensuring that the younger generations knew who they were and where they came from, even when colonial schools taught a different version of history. Traditional systems of justice and community governance also persisted, often operating in parallel with or sometimes in defiance of the colonial legal system. People might turn to their village chief or council of elders to resolve disputes or make important community decisions, trusting in their wisdom and understanding of local customs. This showed a quiet refusal to completely abandon their own ways of doing things. Religious beliefs, whether indigenous animist traditions or the growing influence of Islam and Christianity, also provided a source of strength and continuity, offering spiritual comfort and a framework for moral conduct in a rapidly changing world. Moreover, traditional crafts continued to be practiced and passed down. Weavers created intricate textiles, blacksmiths forged tools and ceremonial objects, and potters shaped clay into useful and beautiful vessels. These skills were not just about producing objects. They were about maintaining a connection to ancestral knowledge and expressing cultural identity. The patterns on a piece of cloth or the design of a mask could tell a story or convey a specific meaning understood within the community. This quiet, persistent practice of culture was a powerful act of resistance, ensuring that the thread connecting the past to the present remained unbroken. After decades under French rule, The desire for freedom in Upper Volta, as Burkina Faso was then known, grew stronger and stronger. The Second World War played a part. Many West Africans, including soldiers from Upper Volta, fought for France and the Allies. When they returned, they brought with them new ideas about self-determination and equality. They had seen the world, fought for others' freedom, and now they wanted it for themselves. Political movements began to take shape, led by a new generation of educated Africans who were tired of being second-class citizens in their own land. The journey wasn't easy, of course. The French colonial authorities were initially reluctant to let go of their prized territories, but the tide of history was turning. Across Africa, and indeed across the world, colonial empires were beginning to crumble. The people of Upper Volta organized, they protested, they negotiated. Leaders emerged who could articulate the aspirations of their people, men like Maurice Yamiogo, Daniel Uwezin Coulibaly, and Joseph Kanambo. They built political parties and mobilized popular support, demanding the right to govern themselves and control their own destiny. It was a time of great hope and excitement. Finally, on the 5th of August 1960, Upper Volta achieved independence from France. It was a momentous occasion, a day of immense celebration and pride. Imagine the streets filled with people dancing, singing, and waving the new national flag. After so many years of foreign domination, they were finally masters of their own house. Maurice Yamiogo became the first president of the newly independent nation. There was a huge sense of optimism, but also a clear understanding of the enormous challenges that lay ahead. Building a new nation from scratch is no small feat. The first leaders of independent Upper Volta faced many tasks. They had to create new national institutions, build an economy that served its own people rather than colonial interests, improve education and healthcare, and forge a unified national identity out of the country's rich ethnic diversity. There were successes, and there were setbacks. Political instability marked some of these early years, with changes in leadership and government. But through it all, the dream of a truly independent and prosperous nation remained alive, a beacon guiding the country forward on its new path, a path chosen by its own people. In 1983, a young charismatic army captain named Thomas Sankara came to power in Upper Volta. This was a turning point. Sankara was not just another leader, he was a revolutionary with a powerful vision for his country and for Africa. One of his first significant acts in 1984 was to change the country's name from the colonial Upper Volta to Burkina Faso, meaning Land of Honest People, or Land of the Incorruptible. This was more than just a name change. It was a statement of intent, a declaration of a new beginning rooted in dignity and self-reliance. Sankara launched what he called the Democratic and Popular Revolution. His government focused on tackling corruption, promoting self-sufficiency, and improving the lives of ordinary Burkinabe. He had big ideas for health, for example. His administration launched massive immunization campaigns that vaccinated millions of children against diseases like measles, yellow fever, and meningitis in a matter of weeks, an incredible achievement that saved countless lives. He also promoted basic healthcare in rural areas, understanding that a healthy population is the foundation of a strong nation. These initiatives were practical and impactful. Education was another key priority. Sankara believed that to educate a woman is to educate a nation. His government worked to increase school enrollment, especially for girls, and launched literacy campaigns across the country. He understood that knowledge is power. In farming, he promoted land reform to give peasants more control over their land and encouraged local food production to reduce reliance on imported goods. He famously said, "We must produce what we consume and consume what we produce." This was about food security and economic independence, empowering local farmers and strengthening the national economy from the ground up. Sankara also championed environmental protection, launching tree planting campaigns to combat desertification, a huge problem in the Sahel. He was ahead of his time in understanding the importance of a healthy environment, and crucially, he was a staunch advocate for women's rights. He banned female genital mutilation, forced marriages, and polygamy. He appointed women to high government positions and encouraged their participation in all aspects of society.
Dance of diplomacy and defiance. His criticism of France led to reduced aid, while he embraced Cuba and condemned U.S. support for Israel and apartheid South Africa. Yet, his radical reforms sparked internal opposition, alienating traditional power structures and international allies. The tension between his revolutionary ideals and the harsh realities of governance became evident, especially during the brief border war with Mali over the Agadir Strip, resolved by the International Court of Justice. Despite his popularity, power shifted to military elites, culminating in the tragic coup that ended his life in 1987. Blaise Compaoré's rise marked a stark reversal of Sankara's vision, consolidating power and re-engaging with international institutions. The ideological divide between Sankara's Pan-Africanism and Compaoré's pragmatic alignment with the West created a lasting schism in Burkina Faso's identity. Yet, Sankara's legacy endures, inspiring a new generation that seeks to reclaim his vision for a self-reliant Africa.
His ideas and his spirit continue to inspire people in Burkina Faso and across Africa, a testament to his transformative vision. The story of Burkina Faso, the land of honest people, is a powerful narrative of resilience, dignity, and an unyielding quest for self-determination. From its ancient peoples adapting to the Sahelian landscape, to the rise of proud kingdoms like the Mossi, right through to the challenges of colonialism and the passionate reforms of leaders like Thomas Sankara, this nation has shown an incredible ability to endure and maintain its unique character. The challenges, as highlighted by recent news from the Sahel region regarding security and displacement, are indeed profound and ongoing, testing this resilience anew in the year 2025. The history of this West African nation is filled with positive stories that showcase the strong spirit of its people. Think of Princess Yanenga's courage, founding a dynasty. Think of the diverse ethnic groups living together, weaving a rich cultural tapestry celebrated in vibrant festivals and daily interactions. Consider the quiet resistance against colonial rule, keeping traditions alive through storytelling and art. And remember the electrifying hope and tangible changes brought about during Sankara's time, empowering women, planting trees, and instilling a profound sense of national pride. Power was tragically cut short when he was assassinated in 1987. Thomas Sankara left an indelible mark. These are not just historical footnotes, they are sources of enduring inspiration. Burkina Faso's journey matters deeply, not just for its own citizens, but for Africa and the wider world. It teaches us about the importance of cultural identity and the strength found in diversity when coupled with unity. It demonstrates the deep human desire for freedom and dignity and the sacrifices people are willing to make to achieve them. The nation's efforts towards self-sufficiency, environmental protection, and social justice, particularly under Sankara, offer valuable lessons for sustainable development and equitable governance that resonate globally, even decades later. Its history is a microcosm of the continent's broader struggles and triumphs. In a world grappling with complex issues, the story of Burkina Faso, with its emphasis on integrity, community, and resilience, offers a beacon of hope. It reminds us that even in the face of adversity, be it historical colonialism, economic hardship, or contemporary security threats, the human spirit can strive for a better future. The Burkinabe people continue to face their challenges with courage and a determination to forge their own path. Their history is a testament to the enduring power of hope and the unbreakable will to live in freedom and dignity, truly embodying the spirit of their nation's name.